portion as well. All right, we've hit the top of the hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop in. So, hello, I want to welcome everyone to the Summer of Learning Professional Development series, Influencing Without Authority, hosted by Bill Davis, Misty Resendez, and Karen Ivey. Going into a little bit about the speakers, Bill Davis is an assistant professor for the Forbes School of Business and Technology. As a former executive in the beverage industry, now paying it forward for his mentorship in higher education, he's considered a academic, someone who toggles between teaching and being an active practitioner in the business arena. He's written and published over 150 articles relating to business, marketing, management, and organizational change, as well as co-authoring an ebook available at no charge to UAGC students entitled Stay Engaged, It's Essential, Chunks of Leadership, Wisdom, and Knowledge to Improve Your Leadership Effectiveness. And that's by Bill Davis, Marty McAuliffe, and Charles Minnick. Bill Davis has received notable accolades such as the 2008 CAP Awards, 2007 Excellent Teaching Award, and the 2012 Excellence in Leadership Award, among many others. And with over 17 years of higher education experience, he is someone who lives by the cardinal principles: lead with care, deliver excellence, and further student success. Next, we have Dr. Misty Resendez, a core faculty member with the Forbes School of Business and Technology, business leadership, mainly overseeing the business leadership degree. She's passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and belongingness, as well as women's leadership. Dr. Resendez has over 15 years of professional experience in human resources, business administration, and leadership methodologies. She has practiced in for profit and nonprofit arenas, holding both clinical and management roles, allowing her to utilize her expertise coaching and mentoring leaders to increase organizational performance. Her experience enables her the strong grasp for inner working of people and organizations to positively affect talent acquisition, cultural diversity and inclusion, organizational change, and leadership development. Dr. Resendez earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Indiana University. She earned a master's degree in management and a doctorate in organizational leadership from Indiana Wesleyan University. She's an Intercultural Development Inventory (IDI) certified administrator and an Organizational Culture Inventory (OCI) certified administrator. Dr. Resendez is a current board member of the Diversity Roundtable of Central Indiana and a member of the Society of Human Resource Management (SHRM), and also the International Leadership Association and the Women's Leadership Affinity Group. And last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Karen Lynn Daniels Ivy, PhD. And she is the Technology Studies Department Chair for the Forbes School of Business and Technology at the University of Arizona Global Campus. She is a co-founder of the media tribute company, Visionary Expressions, LLC. And Karen is a lifelong learner, and her educational background consists of a combination of business, technical, marketing, and advanced management studies. This includes a PhD in organizational management with a specialization in e-business from Capella University, master's in business administration with a focus in management and marketing from St. Thomas University, and a BA degree in mathematics with a computer science focus from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Dr. Ivy's professional experience includes over 30 years of business, technical, and leadership contributions in the aerospace, manufacturing, commercial and consumer and office, healthcare, and IT industries. This includes technical leadership support to Lockheed Martin and aeronautics missions to Honeywell Aerospace missions as well. She's an accomplished senior leader in the IT space and the IT service industry with expertise in strategic development and oversight, service delivery, program management, and technical transformation. Dr. Ivy is an established public speaker with a focus on leadership, motivation, innovation, technology trends, disruptive technology, strategic integration. And she has also been the keynote speaker for many regional and national business conventions and educational functions. Dr. Ivy is native to St. Louis, Missouri, and currently resides in Parker, Colorado. She enjoys giving back to the community and being a catalyst for change in our society. She has a passion for continuous learning and very much enjoys leading through change, developing others to reach their potential, teaching, singing, golfing, and travel. Her goal is to inspire others to achieve their ultimate goals in their educational career and endeavors and explore their passions to the fullest. Now, whether you hold a particular position of power or not, we have to work within our organizations to get various tasks and projects done. This may be convincing someone to allocate some of their time to your project or asking them for a write up of a meeting or event that you may have missed. Today, with the help of our three great presenters, we'll examine the different techniques and skills that can be used to influence organizations, teams, and individuals. Also, be sure to be on the lookout for the talkback session. The link will be in the chat and then also sent post the event. There you'll enjoy a roundtable discussion with your presenters from today and the organizational leaders to discuss the topic further. And once again, my name is Chris Poget. I'm an education partnership representative with the University of Arizona Global Campus. Be sure to stick around after today's presentation for some quick information about UAGC and attending the Global Campus. And I will now hand the floor over to our great presenters, starting with Bill Davis, to demonstrate how we can influence our organization and individuals within it, regardless of our title. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to actually kick this
Sorry.
off, and I'm not Bill Davis, but we
Sorry.
we do hang together. I'm Dr. Karen Ivy, and we are in for a treat, guys, as we go through the journey today. So just as it shows on the slide, we just want to give you the highlight of what we're going to step through during our journey today. Our agenda flow. First, I'm going to share a personal walk of influencing, leading without authority. For me, it started early, and it was very impactful in changing my future forward leadership directions. And remember, as I'm sharing my story, please think about your personal story, because we're going to get to a session during this journey today where we're going to ask if you want an open mic to share your story of leading, influencing without authority, or if you also want to put that into chat. So think about that and don't be shy, because we'll be calling on you. So first off, I'll start with my personal journey. Bill Davis then will take us through what is leading. We then will talk about principles of leading without authority. These are some strategies that you indeed can put into action today. Then we'll talk about overcoming fear when leading without authority. This is then, Misty will take us through that. This is then when we will open up those mics and look into chat for you to share out your story. We want to learn from each other. This is a power-packed group who's attending this session today. And then we'll open it up for more Q&A to walk through and talk through questions that you may have as we close out then with tools for success. When we all leave today's session, we will be equipped to move forward and lead influence without authority, and with authority if you do have that title. So let me share my personal story. When I graduated from my undergraduate, Washington University, I was green, I was fresh, I was stepping into the big world, and I landed into a job with Honeywell Aviation. Honeywell Aviation had the job just waiting for me, that was lead production control coordinator. Now, I had no background with exactly what that was, but I eagerly stepped into the position right straight out of college, no title. But what I learned in that position, it was definitely a position where you had to very, very quickly learn how to influence, learn how to lead, and you were the lowest person on the title pole that you were interfacing with in most times. And so, in that position, my responsibility for Honeywell was leading the development of a product line that created helmets for military helicopters for the pilots that used infrared technology for them to have night vision when flying. To see that product and to see the price tag of that product, that was a very, very important product build. Our biggest customer, of course, was the US government, and Honeywell had other customers as well that they delivered this product for. So enters Karen Ivy, fresh out of college. What I learned in this position, I had to interface with several businesses that included business planning, parts of the organization, business planning, marketing, production line supervisors, managers, and those on the production floor. I actually would spend a lot of time in the production area, inventory, and also design engineering. And the way it sort of worked is as big meetings were going on, be it with marketing, be it with the customers or potential customers, I would be present in that meeting. Why? Because as those decisions were being made to, yes, enter into an order, X number inventory, X number delivery dates. I had to be there to say yes to it and take on the responsibility to make it happen. That was a large responsibility for a person new on board. But here's what I learned, and here's my story. As I learned the different interfacing groups that I had to deal with, the meetings in the corporate offices, those all went pretty well. Where I had my biggest challenge was in the production area, on the production floor. And here's why. There was an individual, I'll call him Tom, just to pass a name. And Tom's responsibility was to interface all of the organizations in the production area, like production operations. What Tom said ruled and went. When Tom said something will happen, it happened. But what I learned very quickly, when Tom said something will not happen, it didn't happen. Here is where my development came in. Tom was a big burly guy, right? He was definitely the prototype of someone who ran production in a production area. He talked with a very deep voice. Tom could curse you out in a second. I'm sorry, but that's reality. And he actually did it several times to several individuals, to the point of several individuals in the work area were afraid of Tom. And so, what did that mean for other people like me, production control coordinators? You have responsibility to make sure your production line moves and deliveries are made and on time, if not ahead of time. What did that do if you were afraid of interfacing with Tom? What Tom said moved and went, spread across the whole production operations area. Tom had this personality that could rub you the wrong way very quickly, could scare you very quickly, could make you feel like you were nothing but a little small pea in the big old world and you couldn't do anything. I learned very quickly the importance of listening and observing, because I learned that in order for me to move my line, I had to move into some strategies, some actions that I didn't have to exercise before. So, with my learning and listening and realizing that I'm a leader, I may not have the high title, but I have the responsibility, I observed a lot. Here's what I found out. One of the reasons that Tom was so, as some people would say, just rub you the wrong way, right? The reason he was so snappy is that a few years before I came on board, Tom lost his son. His son was in his early 20s, and he was riding a motorcycle one day and became and was in a very, very bad accident. Tom and his family lost his son. He loved his son. He cherished his son. After that happened, and I learned this from talking to individuals in the workplace, that's when Tom's attitude changed. And he could have been that way before, but he even became more so that way after that point. So, part of learning how to lead without authority is learning the environment, learning how to listen, learning how to observe, learning how to relate as well. I decided that I'm going to relate to Tom from understanding the fullness of who Tom was. Not this person that scared everybody, but this person who had a shield up to protect his inner feelings as he ran the operation shops of Honeywell at that time, Honeywell Aviation. So, in my direction and learning to relate to Tom, I befriended Tom, not a coworker, but a friend. I listened with ears of empathy, understanding what he had experienced in his life, even shared some personal directions of myself. I recently had lost my mother as well, created a relationship. From that point on, Tom and I were buddies. He put it in his mind that this young woman will be successful because I'm going to assist her in being successful. And what I can tell you guys throughout my run at Honeywell, I ended up not only hitting deliveries throughout all of the contracts that Honeywell had for the helmet, for the helicopters, but we consistently delivered 2 months prior to the scheduled date throughout the total contract. Leading without authority, influencing without authority. How do you do it? What does it take? We're going to step you through exactly how that works. And remember, having authority and leading are two different things. Someone with authority and with the title can also be a leader. Someone with authority, your position is being sure you're setting the vision. You are directing, you are correcting, you are doing those types of things that people in the manager, supervisor positions have to do. But a leader may or may not have a title, but yet you could have responsibility to do great things, to be a change agent in your organization. And that is what your company is looking for, your leaders, and that is what we're hoping you are inspiring to do. A leader brings people together, organizes individuals, motivates people to make a change for the positive. So we're ready to step through, and I hope you are as well, through leadership and what is leadership as we continue our journey today. Bill Davis, you have the floor. And you're on mute.
Mute back here. Karen, thank you very much. And you know, the thing that I take from Karen, I've had the pleasure and opportunity to report to Karen and be her colleague and present in prior presentations. And the thing that I love the most is she thinks it through. She sees the dynamics. She sees the culture. She understands the situation. And I really admire that. And I'd like to share something that I've learned here. You know, Karen talked about observation, looking at a culture. I've learned from so many people here. And I don't believe that you have to have a title to be a leader. I believe that we're all influencing each other, and I'm going to show you how those dynamics, those processes and characteristics work. But the thing that I want you to understand, when you look at a culture, the first thing you're going to see are the artifacts. You know, you walk into a new business, you walk into a new organization, you're going to see offices, people, dress, how they look, etc. After a while, you're going to start to see in a few weeks the espoused values, what the organization thinks they stand for, what is meaningful and desirable, what they represent. And sometimes what's really there as espoused values that the organization believes, maybe it's really not that way, and some changes need to happen and good leadership needs to occur. But finally, when you're in a culture for a while, as Karen talked about, you know, vicarious learning, looking at people, understanding people, you'll start to see the nuances, the details, the way people act, and they'll start to get comfortable with you because you're building trust. And as you build trust, you're honest, you're dependable, you're reliable, you know, you're likable, you're competent. When you start adding value to people, they start coming your way. And what happens is you fuse together, and the sum is always greater than the parts. So before I begin, I want to just, you know, tell you we're all leaders. We lead at home. We lead in our children's activities. We lead in school. We lead in church. I mean, we're always leading, and there's a dyadic. You're going to learn about that sometimes you're following, sometimes you're leading, but that exchange goes back and forth. And so be aware of that. And I'm going to make you aware of that. And finally, before I begin, I just want to tell you, there's there's something I learned from one of our prior provosts here, Dr. Laura Palmer Noon, and she says there's 3 attributes of success. So are you ready to hear them? The 3 are attitude, attitude, attitude. You want to have a positive attitude. You want to be committed. You want to add value. You want to add meaning. You want to contribute to the team. When you do, and you line up with the organization's strategies, values, vision, everything there, the structure, you help shape the culture. Boy, the work becomes interesting. It becomes fun. You start to, progress has always motivated me, and I'll tell you a little bit about that as I go through these slides. But the thing is, when you see progress and you're making a contribution and people are working with you and you're collaborating, it's fun to watch. I've got an old saying, it's fun to watch a leader. So I consider my attitude to be my greatest asset. So as you look ahead, think about your attitude. How do you approach leadership? How do you approach raising your hand? How do are you consistent with your thoughts, actions, and values in your role? Do you want to contribute? Will you raise your hand? Those experiences you'll get from doing that are absolutely incredible. Now, next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about different definitions. There's thousands of definitions. I've always looked at kind of simple, break it down, because I'm John Maxwell team certified, but I've learned this in my PepsiCo career, and I've learned, you've got to influence, right? I've been in sales, marketing, operations my whole career. We got to make numbers. We got to do things for customers. We got to deliver excellence, doing the right things the right way. And the thing that I always understood was I got to influence positively. And here's something I'll give to you from my experience. Chris talked about me being a pragademic. I brought all that into academia here. And the one thing that I'm proud of, and you ready to hear this? I work to talk to walk and walk to talk. And I've always told my teams, remember, the first way you establish credibility is through your words. The second way you establish credibility is through your actions. And so remember, people are watching. They're watching how consistent you are as a leader. Even if you're stepping up to lead a project, they want to see your consistency and your thoughts and your actions and your values. They want to see your ethics. They want to see you doing the right things. They want to see you focused and trying to move things forward, in a good way. But here's some definitions that the experts say. As you look at this, John Maxwell says leadership is influence. Peter Northouse says in his book, Leadership Theory and Practice, he tells us that leadership is a process of influence. John Maxwell, again, tells us it's influence, and it's great leaders in here. Hopefully you feel my passion, my sense of energy. I've studied leadership. The 5 functions of leadership: planning, organizing, leading, staffing, controlling, one coordinated system. But the most important one to me in there is leading. Because if you can lead well, you can help have people on the team be optimal in terms of establishing controls and helping. You can help people staff right because you've led them right, you've coached them right. You can help with their planning. Leaders are fantastic. When you got good leadership, you'll know it. When you see it, you'll know it. Jack Welch says that, and remember that, because I know good leadership, and I know being here today with the Zovio team and Chris and everyone here, and Karen and Misty. And by the way, I'm teaching Misty's leadership course. Unbelievable. I'm in the second one. She's redesigned it. It's a wonderful course that I'm going to bring into our operations management program because it helps people see more. Leaders see more than they see before. They see the dynamics, and this course will broaden you and broaden your view of leadership in different definitions. So leadership, though, just, look at these definitions and remember that when you lead in a business context, it's a bunch of activities that are undertaken to help people achieve the highest level of performance. And again, keyword, influence, right? Within the organization, the different leader behaviors. So let's talk a little bit about how leadership has been studied. One of the most admirable traits, in my opinion, is someone that wants to serve well, create the right culture, has the right ethics. My definition of ethics is system code of conduct based on legal and moral duties and obligations. And every time I've led in any role, in the front, middle, top, on a project, whatever, my ethics were always in my mind. Do the right things, be fair, be consistent, treat others like you like to be treated. Remember, you're dealing with people. People are one of the main business drivers in any organization. As Karen had talked, doing the contracts, getting all that right. That's important stuff. So as you look at that, remember, if you're serving well and you're committed, that's a good trade. But trade era was from the 1800s and 1940s. And this is stuff I just brought in from grad school that I thought I'd dust off and bring in and talk. The behavioral era was from the 1940s and 1970s, when the United States was going through a lot of manufacturing. You had a lot of leadership experts and theorists that came in and had all these behavioral theories. And a lot of them still work today. You know, they get productivity and so forth. Now, as things have changed, the study of leadership from the 60s on has branched out into all kinds of different leadership theories, situational leadership, you know, transformational, transactional. There's no best way to lead, but what contingency theory tells you, it's contingent upon the situation, right? You may lead different in a presentation like that, if you're like this, if you're the leader. You may lead differently if you're leading an ad hoc team and you've got experts. You know, I have been in places sometimes over my head with people that are much more talented than I ever was when it came to engineering and technical folks. And I knew they knew their stuff, right? But I learned what their needs and wants were, their personalities. As Karen talked about, we meshed together as a team. The sum is always greater than the parts, and all that came together, and we did wonderful things, big things. And I learned from them, they learned from me. Now let's talk about how that happens. The levels of analysis, the dyadic processes. I'm going to go to that one first. You can see these slides. Relationships between the leader and the follower. The leader and the follower. Dr. Karen Ivey, I'm just going to use her because she's right here now, and I was on her team for 2 years. If I didn't know something, I had no problem calling Karen up and saying, I need some help. Can you give me some insight into this, please? She said, surely I will. We would talk. She raised my game. She raised my skills. She may call me and say, what are your recommendations for this? So the next thing you know, the whole thing just comes together. But remember, sometimes you're leading, sometimes you're following, right? That's back and forth. Sometimes a follower, as in the case of Misty, with her course, I'm following Misty because Misty put some content in there that I thought was innovative, new, it embraced diversity. And I says, I'm going to keep an open mind here. I'm going to do what Laura Palmer Noon told me, and I'm going to remember attitude, attitude, attitude. Have a good attitude. Here's some new stuff to learn. Pay attention, Bill. You're going to walk away better. That's how I approached it, you see, and that's between the leader and the follower. Now, intra-individual is when you focus on the individual, psychological aspects, traits, skills, right? We all look at that. I'll use myself here a second. You know, many of you don't know me here, but I am passionate, I'm genuine, I'm authentic, I'm very comfortable presenting. And so what you see is what you get. That's the way I've led throughout my career, in the front line, middle, and the top. I'm consistent with my thoughts, actions, and my values. But I love serving. I love seeing progress. So you may look at me and say, well, he's a little emotional, or he's really getting into this. But the bottom line is pretty simple. I love what I do. It's my passion. There's a sense of energy. We came together to collaborate, all of us, with Chris, because we wanted to do something very good for the audience here. We wanted to come across and give you a few things. We don't expect you to retain all this. I know in my professional career that the audience usually only remembers about 15% of what you said. So, but you know, sometimes they'll forget what you taught them or whatever, but they won't forget how you made them feel. So remember, a lot of people have some gifts that are around you. So pay attention, like Karen paid attention to Tom, and you'll start to see these psychological aspects. I hope that's a good example there. But remember, you got intra-individual study, you got dyadic processes, then you got group processes where you step back and you're not looking at those, you're looking at the group as a whole. How's the group run? What are the systems? What's the processes? You know, how do they come together? How do they communicate? How do they measure? Is the group functional? Is the culture functional? Does this system work? Think about groups, looking at leadership that way. And organizational processes, bigger picture. Keep the bigger picture in mind. The emphasis is on developing leaders who can interpret information, negotiate. You know, I took a finance course once, and this instructor put some real heavy stuff out there, and I'll never forget. I went, oh my goodness, this is going to be a stretch for me to learn all this. And he smiled and he said, Anybody scared here out of their mind? And the whole class raised their hand is because everybody was a little bit tentative. But he smiled and said, don't worry, I'm going to get you through this. And he did. So common leadership myths, you know, examine your assumptions with a healthy dose of skepticism because they could be true, could be false. Use your critical thinking, use your logical reasoning. Remember though, you know, you can be a leader. Leaders are born. These myths, no, they're not. You can learn these skills. You can do it through observation. Management is leadership. Not really. You can find good managers, put it into places, but guess what? They don't lead with empathy. They don't lead with compassion. They're not sensitive. They're not talking a walk and walking the talk and showing you. They're not leading by example. They're not good leader coaches. Oh, they're great managers. You'll get this on time, that on time, etc. But you may walk away thinking, boy, my glass is only half full. Only certain people are leaders. Simply not true. Leaders is telling others what to do. You know, you have to give guidance, you have to direct, you have to set example, you have to put a vision out there. But leaders are also coaches. And they start with, how do you think you're going to approach it? I'll tell you just a few things about leader coaching as I get to the next slide. But remember, you know, they say, how are you going to get there? They don't give you the answers. They help you get there. So leader styles and traits and characteristics. Let's talk about that a little bit here. When you look at the various styles and characteristics that are out there, here's a couple things that I want to just tell you a little bit about styles you may choose. You could be transactional, where you exchange rewards for effort and performance. You take corrective action. You make sure everything's in place. You know, kind of this for that. You know, if you're contracting somebody to do the work, etc. But it's kind of impersonal sometimes. It's not as it doesn't necessarily always bring you together and unify you as a team. Transformational leaders, in my opinion, and what the research says is they really inspire. They do a super job in terms of informing you and motivating you. You know, one of the things that I learned early on in my career is simply this. If I want to motivate people, simply be immediate, be reliable, and deliver. You know, be there for them. Serve them. When people see that, they start to talk, word of mouth, right? I'm in marketing, 4 P's of marketing, promotional P. You've got paid forms, you know, and you got unpaid forms. And promotion, you know, when you get into word of mouth, oh, that is just, when your reputation starts speaking for you and people know things, oh, it is a great thing. So with that said, I just want to make one point on coaching leaders, though, because I believe I'm a leader coach. They unlock potential. They ask you, what's the goal? And then they also ask you, what are you trying to achieve? And they ask, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How do I get you there? They coach with questions. And you'll see those types of leader coaches when you're working for them, and keep being a leader coach. Now, with that said, I would like to turn this over to my colleague, someone that I respect and trust and have gotten to know this year, and who's just doing a fantastic job here for the Forbes School of Business and Technology, Dr. Misty Resendez. Misty?
Thanks, Bill, and thanks, Dr. Ivy, for all of your insight today. I want to take a little bit of a twist with today's conversation and kind of talk about what are the principles of leading without authority. So we got a clear understanding of what leadership is, right? So now I want you to put yourself in this position, because some of you might still be challenging yourself. Have I even been in these positions? Well, I'm going to give you an example. You have been tasked with leading a project within your organization, but in an unofficial capacity. So what does that mean? So technically, yes, you're not in a position of leadership, right? But you have been given like managerial responsibilities, such as generating a budget, maybe creating a schedule, managing and coordinating a team. So everyone else plays along with you, so you should be fine, right? That's where the kind of challenges start to come in, because this is a really big ask, right? So we just assume that, okay, I've been given this task to do. Now everybody just needs to get on board, but you're not their boss. right? So your coworkers might not be intentionally trying to thwart your success, right? Their priorities are naturally going to align with those who hold authority over them. So their jobs, their bosses, their supervisors, right? So without a position of authority, your priorities are likely to take a back seat to everyone else's on your team, right? So you're going to them, and they already have other duties that are assigned to them. So if you're asking them to kind of help you with the schedule or help you with this project, they're like, I don't know if I'm interested or not, right? So leading without authority really means to lead without an official title or position. So the goal of leading without authority is to get others to follow you and to act accordingly, rather than acting because you're their boss or because you told them to. Next slide, please. So leading without authority really is all about influence. Influencing without authority is the ability to really influence others without having any kind of power over them. You're not the one signing their paycheck. You're not the one who, if they don't work with you on this project, I mean, they're going to think to themselves like, well, what can they really do? Are they going to write me up? They can't fire me, right? So it's really going to all boil down to influence. Influencing without authority is a very, very important skill to have for any leader, regardless of what level you're in, whether you're the team lead or whether you're the manager of a cross-functional team. If you're working on starting a business yourself, or if you're overseeing projects and resources, the ability to influence without authority can really help you get buy-in from key stakeholders. It's going to help you to improve collaboration within your organization, and it can boost your career. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about what does it mean to influence within the organization, right? So within your team, there are several opportunities for you to influence others. So take a moment again to kind of think about how you might have influenced somebody in the past. This could have happened directly or indirectly. So directly means that you had an intentional conversation with them. Maybe you were talking about the pros of, hey, I'm working on this project. I think it'd be really cool if you team up with me. I can see this, maybe taking us to the next level, or how it could, boost your career. There could be a lot of things that you could have said to that individual, right? That's a direct conversation. But there's a lot of times that it can happen indirectly. So kind of going back to those leadership traits that Bill was talking about, those coaching traits, right? So indirectly means because of your motivation, because of your passion, your energy that you bring to the team, people get on board, right? And they want to support whatever project it is that you're working on or that you're doing, because they see that it means a lot. And because of your character, right? They want to kind of come alongside you and say, you know what? I'm going to get on board with that. I'm going to help you with this project, or I'm interested in helping you see this through. So there are different sources of authority that you use when we're influencing. The first off is your expertise, because people see you for your expertise to say, wow, this person has a lot of insight. They've been with this organization. Maybe you just graduated with your degree. And so people are starting to look up to you. So they are buying into what it is that you're telling them, because they see this experience that you're bringing to the table. The next source of authority is your relationships. So how are you treating your peers? That's going to be very important if you're trying to influence others. Now, if you're going in there with a big ego and you want them to get on board because you're like, because I know this is the only way to excel or advance or to get, maybe it's a commission or something to that extent, right? They may not want to come on board with you if you have that big ego and you're not really helping, right? Or coaching. Again, going back to what Bill kind of said, people want to work and want to be influenced by somebody that they see as authentic, somebody who is transparent, and somebody who is realistic, right? Somebody who is going to help to support them, coach them along the way, pour into them to say, you know what, I'm here to help you. Let's work on this project together. There's a lot of skills and strengths that you bring to the table that maybe I don't have. So again, your relationships are a great source of authority. And your last source of authority is going to be your corporate and organizational understanding. So what kind of understanding do you have about the business, about the space that you're leading out of, about the organizational politics, about, leadership and the way that things run? When they see that you have that kind of insight, people want to come alongside you and they're going to support you. They're going to allow you to influence them because they believe in you, because you have this insight. So again, just kind of think about how these conversations go and how you can influence within the workplace. Next slide, please. So benefits of leading without authority. So why would I even want to do this, right? Does it sound like fun? I hope you're all enjoying it, because there is a lot of fun behind leading without authority. The first one, let's just kind of talk about what is improved collaboration is what it's going to do. When you lead without authority, it's going to really bring people together, and they want to collaborate with you. They want to work together as a team. And it's a very dynamic situation when you actually see this unfold, or if you reflect back onto a situation where you actually did lead without authority, or maybe you're currently doing it now. Managing without authority is not about Managing without authority is not about enhancing your personal power, and it's not about self-promotion. It's really using a particular set of skills to get things done with others when you don't have no direct authority over them. Just to note, there's some of the biggest achievements that have been possible through leading without authority, such as the creation of Google Maps. Right? Google Maps was created by somebody who didn't have any authority in the organization. And then they came up with this project by, getting others on board and influencing them to work on this project together. Some other modern day influencers like Greta Thunberg, who has mobilized millions to challenge world leaders to prioritize climate action, right? To just show how the influence is more powerful than authority itself. So just kind of keep this in mind on how there is so many great benefits to leading without authority. Dr. Ivy, would you like to share some strategies with us?
Most definitely, and thank you, Misty. So here is where we switch the process of our journey today, and this is all about interactive, and we want to hear about you. So as I go through these strategies, what I would like to do, if you have ever applied these strategies as you have led influence without authority, go ahead and let us know in the chat. You can do a hand clap, a reaction, a message in chat, okay? We're going to provide to you some strategies that you today can put into place to influence, to lead without authority. So the first one is asking the questions. So here's the scenario, which we all are in. You're in a big meeting, right? Big meeting, small meeting, a meeting of three, it really doesn't matter, but you're in a meeting. Have you noticed that the person who initiates questions such as, why is this so? How can we change it? What about this? That person, and that person who consistently does that, is the person who people begin to listen to. Think about it. Think about the meetings, your team meetings that you have been in. Let me throw out some more questions here, which you can ask. What if? Have we considered? Can you help me understand what you mean when you say? What have you possibly overlooked? What have we overlooked? Who else should be invited to be part of this meeting? What must be done first? Is the issue we're talking about here the real issue? Okay, be bold when you throw that out. Be bold enough to put that on the table, okay? Believe me, you will be that catalyst of change when you put that question out. What can I do to help, right? Be that person who is initiating those questions. And we have individuals who are putting in the chat right here. Ashley, parenting is a good example of leading without authority as that goal. Way to go, Ashley. That is excellent. Pamela, yes, it is. So we have individuals who have been in the position of taking the responsibility, asking that question. You may not be the person with the highest leadership title. You don't have to be. Not to throw those questions out, right? To help people and lead them in the right way, and people will align to you. Here's another strategy. Be that person to speak up. Be brave about it. Raise your voice. Ask to take on new projects. Raise your hand. In all of our organizations today, especially now, we are dealing with COVID and the impacts of COVID. Change is number one on the plates of all of our organizations. Guess what? The leaders need individuals stepping up. They need you to step up, to take on projects, take on initiatives. Be that person who raises your hand and says, I'll do it, or I'll work with individuals to get it done. Be in that position to take on the responsibility. Have you done it? Let us know in the chat. Here's another example, another strategy. Lead by answering the why questions. We may not have all the answers, and I can tell you hands down, not one of us has the answers to everything, but we have the answer to something. Open your mouth. Be the voice. I tell my team also all the time, use your voice. You have knowledge, you have information. Start answering those why questions. If you notice when you're doing that in a team environment, in a meeting environment, guess what? People begin listening to you. That's influence right there, guys. Have you done it? Flores says, yes, I always volunteer to do projects. Very important, very important. Be the one to answer that question. Lead the projects, provide the answers. Here's another strategy. Lead with enthusiasm. Anyone who works with me can tell the topics, the subjects, the directions that excite me. Why? Because I get excited. I'm excited now. Leading is exciting. Influencing and shaping and being a catalyst of change is exciting. Display your enthusiasm. Let people know indeed you are interested in that topic. You don't have to say it, your actions will show it. But display the enthusiasm and what you're interested in. Guess what? People will say, okay, tell me more. I want to hear more. What are your ideas? They'll start asking you the questions. Display your enthusiasm. Natural, authentic. Individuals indeed will want to follow you with what you are doing. And there's a last strategy that I would like to provide before we turn it back over to Misty, who's going to take us through a very good, another interactive direction. Do not be hindered from taking on a leadership position. It takes guts. We know that, especially when the majority of individuals may say, I'm taking the lower road where I'm going to blend in with everyone. I may not say too much of anything, but I'm definitely not raising my hand to be a leader. And sometimes individuals do not do that because it's an unknown direction, is a new direction. It hasn't been done before, but believe me, what all of our organizations need today are individuals willing to step into that position. That's you. Look in the mirror. That's you, right? Be willing to take on that new leading direction. Have the guts about it. Surround yourself with individuals who can help you to build confidence as well. Leaders of organizations, you have to set an environment where failure is not a punishment. The only way we can get to something new is establishing an environment where individuals are open to innovation, open to stepping up into new positions, open to taking you and your organizations to places where you have never gone before. And so have the guts about it, build the guts for you and the confidence for you to step into that leadership position. And so having the passion, Jeffrey, number one, yes, being passionate about things, having the passion is very, very important, and have that guts to step up and say yes. So Misty is going to take us through an interactive activity where you, our audience, can open your voice and speak. Misty, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So as we've been sharing and discussing a little bit about the fear, right, and leading without authority and what all of that could mean, right? I know that sometimes there is fear. Some of you in the chat shared that, yeah, you sign up for projects all the time. Well, there might be some of you today who might be a little reluctant to say, well, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I will be successful. I don't know if I can do this by myself, and I don't know if I have the skills to, really take on this project. So I want you to like just forget about that fear you have. Seeing the benefits of actually leading without authority, and how this not only does it help you, but it actually improves collaboration within your team and within your organization. You can really accomplish some amazing goals. So let's have some fun. Okay, are we ready? I want you to pull out your phones, get your camera. I also put a link in the chat. And what you can do is it's going to click. When you pull up your camera, just kind of, we all are used to like looking at menus since COVID like this. So pull up your camera, and this is going to take you to a link, and it'll follow it. And I want you to, or you can go to the link, and the code is capital UAGC. And there's going to be a question there for you. Capital UAGC is the code to get in. All right. Now the question I want you to respond to, I want you to put one word. Let's take away the fear, right? If you didn't have any fear, what is something that you would like to begin effectively influencing as of today? Say, you know what, I'm going to let this fear go, and I want to step up, and I want to start leading without influence. What is something you want to begin influencing? Put that word in there, and we're going to see all of these words come up on our screens. Yes. Positive culture, bias. Yes, we want to stop the bias that we have going on. We want to start with influencing your innovation, management decisions, process improvements, attitudes. Yes, attitudes. We can really influence people's attitudes. If we take away the fear to say, you know what, let's have these one-on-one conversations. Let's have a coffee chat with somebody. We can really make a big difference. Look at how beautiful this is. Senior leadership, clients' decision, career paths. That is a great thing to talk about. That we can have a whole nother discussion on that one. Negative culture, open-mindedness. I love this. Keep them coming. Embracing change, office culture. Yes, this is so beautiful. Family, joy, joy. Yes, I do a lot of work with joy-powered organizations and how to really create joy in the workplace, and creating joy-powered teams. And I'm currently working on a book of creating joy-powered inclusion and belonging in the workplace. And what does that look like? Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you all for your comments. This is beautiful. We will be sure to send this out. This is something that you can print and put, on your office wall, or create a screenshot of it. Take a picture, get your phone, take a picture. You'll also get the recording from today, but to put in our vision, to constantly remind ourselves, we don't have to have fear. I can really influence some things, and look at all of these things that we can influence. Thank you so much for all participating. Dr. Ivy.
I was videotaping, Misty. This is awesome. Okay, continuing, we want to hear your story. I know in our audience, there are several individuals, you've already shared some examples where you have stepped up and led and influenced without authority. So go ahead and use the reaction to raise your hand if you would like an open mic. We're going to keep our eyes in the chat. This session is to hear your story, and we would love to hear your examples. So we talked about being bold and having that confidence and stepping up. So raise your hand, or let us know in chat, what is your story? We would love to hear some. I see a raised hand. Chris, can you see that? Yeah, Chris, you're muted.
Is sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Zai Dewey, I believe. If you would like to unmute and chime in for your story.
As we're getting his mic together, Jeanette Shade mentioned that she was asked to lead a team of 6 without management authority. And Jeanette, how did that go? Go ahead and put us in the chat, or how is it going as well?
It was a very challenging situation. Again, it was difficult because they were loyal to the manager, and the manager told me to run the team and give them direction and assignments, and they weren't always happy with the direction and the assignments they were given. So it was very challenging, and I found some of them would compete for leadership, even though they weren't given that responsibility.
Yes, yes. Are you currently leading that team?
I'm not. I've actually taken a new position, and now I am managing a team. I have the title manager, and it's a lot of more politics. It's a lot more paperwork, but it is easier, and then I can give direction, and it's followed.
Yes. And Jeanette, just one other question. What was one key thing you learned from that first leadership position that you took into the next?
I think probably, like you said, being organized, being consistent, being dependable, knowing the job better than anyone else, being able to give people that step up and giving them, the ability to solve problems on their own, and ownership of their role has really helped me develop the team I have now.
Very awesome. Very awesome. That responsibility, letting others step up. We don't have to do it all, right? When we're
Right.
leading, handing that over. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let's
Thank
see,
you.
Sherry mentioned within the first 2 months at her new job, she reorganized the whole compliance system within their office. She led a team to learn all about the organization and all about that direction. That's awesome, Sherry. Very awesome. Let's see, Draper Shaley mentioned, I'm under the weather, so I'll briefly share a leadership experience here. She recently organized a backpack drive for her department. She took a leading from behind approach. I love it. I love it. Where she empowered others to take an active role in the fundraising backpack initiative. And they were able to identify, guys, 78 backpacks and donate that to local children. Excellent, excellent. We're clapping virtually, and we're clapping for you too as well, Shaylee. See all the hand claps going up. Jenny was just providing some information here. Let's see, Gazanigo, is this Chris, who you were trying to open the mic for?
So Zaya is not able to unmute on the phone. So we can keep going through Gazanigo.
All right. Well, she offered her input and said, I work as an early educator teaching children under 5. I am grateful that I was and had a manager who I could go to and ask what I can do to move up. She raised her hand. That was one of those strategies that we talked about. You don't have the title, but as you keep doing these things, guys, guess what? You're going to end up with the title. All right, let's see. Ashley, I was a brand new employee and asked questions about why we did things a certain way and if we could do it differently. I was able to save the program hundreds of hours by digitizing a process that was manual. Ashley, we're clapping our hands for you. You moved into practice exactly what we're saying. Ashley, do you have an open mic? Did you want an open mic? These are excellent, excellent examples. There are a couple of questions as we sort of wrap up, looking at our time here and moving forward, that were in there. I know one person asked the question, how do I build confidence when I am placed into that leading role, that leadership role for the first time? My peers, presenters, would you guys want to jump into that? How do you build confidence? Bill, Misty?
Yeah, Karen, I'll take that one. I mean, practice, practice, practice. Don't get discouraged. You're gonna run into some resistance. It's normal. It's pervasive. It happens in cultures. Never quit. Never quit. Relax. You're going to get, somebody's not going to like something you did or whatever, but pay attention. But focus on your vision. The mission of the organization. Lead with a shared vision. Explain your intent, and just manage and go through those bumps. It takes time to season. When you start a new career, you've got an apprenticeship, right? Well, it's no different going into a leadership position. You have to kind of learn the lay of the land, the processes, et cetera. And then all of a sudden you're stepped up and now you're leading people. Well, think about that as kind of a learning stage. You're developing, and then all of a sudden you get into a producing stage where now you're really starting to impact. But I don't think that people that are put in leadership roles, there's such a high expectation that, you have to move the ball 50 yards in the first play. I mean, a piece at a time, keep moving, stay forward, and focus on the things that are going well, and be grateful. Be grateful for the wins, and let people know, be honest, and just keep moving. And I hope that helps. And, and the other thing I wanted to offer too is we do this quite a bit. We mentor. So if you, at the very end, you'll see our emails. Feel free to send us an email if we can help you off to the side too. Because sometimes just having some dialogue with a mentor, with a coach, and you get a few ideas. Also, you make that adjustment. And like baseball players now, they're hitting big averages, right? They're hitting home runs, hitting them out of the park. Sometimes a little correction makes a lot of things go forward. I'm going to put an article in here for you too. It's for emerging leaders, and it has that free ebook that Chris mentioned earlier. I think you'll like this. So good luck to you.
Very good. And thank you, Bill. And considering time, we have to go into a wrap up. So one of the, Ashley, I think, put a point in the chat as well, be a mentor for others. Those who have gone through this process of influencing and leading without authority, be a mentor for others, and be a mentor by your actions and by doing as well. Misty, if you could sort of show the next couple of tools and maybe just identify one or two key highlights at this point, knowing that this information will be available in a video as well for individuals to see.
Yes, just a couple of tools as we start to wrap up here to be successful in an informal leadership position, right? So first, gain clarity, right? What is your personal mission statement? What are you trying to accomplish? Check yourself first, making sure this is not about your ego. It's not about trying to control others, but this is something that you're truly passionate about, and it's coming from a good place. So why am I doing this work? Where are you getting your information from? Check your resources, check your information, make sure that you're staying on task. What are you doing to build and sustain your network? We've been talking about networking. I put something in the chat about our Center for Women's Leadership that I chair. We have a ton of resources. We need male allies too, so it's not just for women. And then what is your plan for learning and growing personally, professionally, and organizationally? Are you attached to any kind of organizations or associations? Lots of more information that we could talk about that on our talk back. And then where are you using your voice? Just some questions for you to kind of think about. Take a quick picture of the screen and save that. And then some things, again, that you can start by asking yourself, what do I want to have happen here, right? So if you're currently leading the project, what do I want to have happen? If I were in charge, how would I make that happen? And what benefit will this have to the organization? Again, just questions to think about to make sure that you're doing this for the right purpose and it's not an ego, it's not a control thing. And here is our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to any of us.
And if you're interested in learning more about UAGC, our education benefits, or becoming a partner, you can scan this code on the screen, or you can click the link in the chat, and I'll throw that in there right now. And if you already requested more information about attending UAGC when you registered for today's session, nothing else more that you need to do. One of our advisors will be following up with you very, very shortly. And again, one more time, if you enjoyed this session and would like to dive deeper into the subject, have a little bit more time to discuss the topic, I implore you to attend the talkback session that's hosted next week, same day, same time, and you'll have a little bit more of an opportunity to put in your input. So I'm going to throw some more links in the chat, and I just want to thank everyone for attending today. Thank you so much.
And thank you, presenter teams and Chris. Awesome job. Awesome job.
Absolutely, likewise.